Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everywhere you find yourself, and welcome to AIDBLOCK Standard, where we discuss cutting-edge decentralized solutions within the public policy space. This week, we will look at the computer placement system in Ghana, where students who wrote exams and have been placed into various schools, and how some of them are complaining about their results and data tampering. Some are saying what they checked the second time was not the same as what they saw the first time, and others also want to change school. And not forgetting that before the computer placement system, there was also a scandal by the Fourth Estate, where there was like a whole lot of, that's like a cabal within the educational system, where people pay money for their awards to be placed at their preferred location and whatnot. And so we will discuss that in this section. So permit me to share the decentralized solution that I've made for this section. And as I mentioned, AIDBLOCK Standard, we are going to discuss cutting-edge decentralized solution used to vary the output of the hash value. Okay, so that's basically what a nuance is. And then we have the data, we have the previous hash, which is 000, and then we have the hash that has been mined, or the hash that has been mined. So this hash is the hash that has been mined. And so here, the data we have here is candidates and their various schools that they attended. And so we have Samuel Boateng, LA Basic GSS, and we have Michael Frimpong, Alphabeta School, we have Priscilla Nkrumah, Alajo 1 and 2 GSS, we have Paul Dogbe, St. John's Experimental, and we have Peace Romeo Wilson from Glory Preparatory. Now, when we come to Block 2, you realize that they are school choice. So before they wrote their exams, this is the data that was captured, and we have school choice. Samuel chose Opokuware, Krofum Senior High, and then Kwadri Agri. We have Michael choosing Prempeh and Apam Senior High, and Narerubu Secondary. We have Charity Nkrumah choosing Wesley Girls, Ebri Girls, and Bechem. It's in no particular order. We are just putting data out there. And then Paul Dogbe choosing St. James Seminary, and then St. Martin's and Drobo Senior High. Okay, so now we look at the results. So we have Samuel having grade 7. We have Michael, grade 10. We have Priscilla Nkrumah, grade 8. Paul, grade 7. And then Romeo, grade 6. But technically, like, they have all done well. Then we come to the placement. The data that we have here, we have Samuel Boateng. Okay, you got a second choice, Kwadri Agri. And then we have Michael Frimpong getting Prempeh, Priscilla getting Wesley, and Paul Dogbe in Damana. So Peace also getting Nungwa. So, and then Paul Dogbe getting St. Martin's. Now, you realize that this is what the blockchain hosts as a data. Now, this is going to be the same data across the network of computers within the world, or across all networks. Now, there's one discrepancy here where we have Peace having Nungwa Senior High, where it's not part of his choices here. He didn't choose that. So if you have such a discrepancy, so let me say, first of all, I'll talk about public and then private blockchain. So this ordinarily will not happen on a blockchain. If you didn't input that data, this won't happen, especially if it is a public blockchain where anybody at all have access to the same data across the whole Ghana. Everybody has access to this same data. Once you have internet, you have access to this same data, and so you cannot come and then be placed here. However, if you have a private blockchain where access is given to a limited number of people or institution, maybe the Ministry of Education and some other individual, that those who have created a private blockchain think they are necessary to have those access, and then the rest of us all need a permission to get access to the data, then you use a private blockchain for that. Now, what happens is that in a private blockchain, you can make some of these changes, and it works because it's few people who are controlling the node. Fine. However, if it's a public blockchain where all of us have access to it, you cannot make changes to it. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because every data must be mined. So if you have this data, you mine it and you get this. So now let me even take away, let me even make an input. Let me say I'm deleting this school. Okay, You realize that it didn't choose, so we are making an input there and say Nungwa, Nungwa Senior High School. Senior High School. So we have made the input here. What happens is that you realize that all the block is showing red. You get it? So block 2 is showing red, block 3 is showing red, block 4 is also showing red. What does it mean? It means that somebody has tampered with the data and you have made an input of something that is not supposed to be there. So that is the situation we are having here. So what was there before? Let me check on my... So, come in. What was there before? What was there was Agotime. So if you are looking for what was there before, it was Agotime that was there. Good. So we have Agotime that was there. So now let me delete the Nungwa Senior High. Okay. And bring back Agotime. You realize that the data agrees. So, oh yeah, that's true. That was there before. So the data. So the moment we temper, it changes. Let's go to this person's grade. Now maybe grade 6 was, or let me say grade 6 was. Let's temper grade 8 to maybe grade 6. You get it? So it means that now grade block 4 doesn't agree with block 3 because of one critical thing. The data here has been tampered with. Now, look at something. When we have our 8 there, you realize that they are the same now. Now, let's come to some critical thing we call the previous hash. So here on block 1, the previous hash here is 00000. Here, the previous hash here is 00. So look at the last 4 digits of this previous hash, which is 48E. So that is the hash value. Now, when you go to block 2, the previous hash here will be the previous hash, will be the hash value of block 1. So look at the 48E is the same as the hash value of block 1. Now, on block 2, the hash value here is what we have here, which is showing 444. Now, when you go to block 3, when you look at the previous, it will be that of the hash value of block 2. And it will show 6444. You realize that the last digits are the same. And we don't want time to go through all the digits, but they are the same. Now, when you take block 3, the hash value of block 3, you see 62. Let's start from, I think, F1A162 something. So when you go to block 4, you see the same thing there, F1A162. So you get, so that they are the same value from the previous. So the previous is picking from this. And then you have a block 4 having a unique hash value. So if we are to go to block 5, and let's say we type in anything, let's say the certified, okay, by Education Ministry. Okay, so this is certified by the Education Ministry. So the data, that's what block 5 is showing. So you have to mine it. And when you mine it, then it will agree with all the data. Now, let me even delete this and say certified by maybe headmaster, okay? Or headmasters association. So where is my blog value finding this up? Headmasters association. Now, you realize that it's the block 5 is indicating red. Now, the red here is not showing in block 4 because the previous block here is okay. You get it? And then if, let's say we had block 6, then the break will continue from block 6 so the block that is the final. Okay, good. So now let's now change it to ministry, Education Ministry. Now it agrees with the data. Now any tempering you do would show red, and it indicates that all of us are that somebody has tampered with it. And so when we say the blockchain is very secured and immutable, this is what we mean when we say blockchain is secured and immutable. And with this, you realize that data will be protected, and the cabal that are involved in school changing and whatnot, they will not be able to do that. They won't be able to do that. So let's say this particular person wants to go to maybe per sec. So you change it per sec. Now you've changed it for the person, but on the database, it is showing that something has happened to this. You get it? It's showing that something has happened to this particular person who had Nungwa Senior High being changed to per sec. And this is going to reflect across all the network of computers. Now, how do we know that this has been impacted? Now, we do on the blockchain, there's something called consensus mechanism. So all the miners, they have their data, and the data must be the same. And so in the consensus mechanism, when they compare, they realize that yours is different from the majority. If it is so, then you should know that there's no way your data is going to be agreed on by the entire network of computers. And so that is what it's going. So you need to make sure that if you have tampered with your data, you change it back to what we have. Is Nungwa Senior. Good. So if I put it back like that, then it becomes agreeable with all the data. You get it? So that is how secured blockchain can keep database and prevent middlemen, third parties, and cabals from tampering with the data. Now let's come to the results. Yeah, results to you I've mentioned, and this is 08. You can, even if you make it 08, it's different because that's not what was there, even though it means the same thing. So you need to make sure that you input the right data and then have it. Now that I have made a change, so let's say we have made this 07. Now, to make this data agreeable, you need to mine this data. Now you mine this data. Now it becomes agreeable. Then you also mine this for it to become agreeable. You realize that as you mine, the nonce value here changes, and we can't get it again unless we have our old descent back. Now, and when we go to block 5, you pay attention to the nonce value here, the random value here. If I mine this again, the nonce value will change. You get it? So it has changed to 39555. Good. So it has changed. Now, if you tamper with the data and you want the data to agree with all the network of computers, you need to mine the block. And I don't see any individual who can do this thing as fast as there is. You can't do this because you don't, first of all, you don't even have access to other people's database, and it's decentralized. You don't even know who even has the database to even go through this and then mine it and make it reconcile with yours. You get it? So it makes it very difficult when you are using the blockchain to keep data. Let's say it's more secured. You get it? Because if you are using the blockchain to keep data, it makes it more difficult for you to tamper with the data. And so that's what we say when we say the blockchain is immutable. And so the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Education, so let's even assume maybe you add another block, and you add another block. That's how all the database must agree. So if we are considering to include the network of blockchain or a decentralized database, this is how it's going to be, and this is how secured and immutable it's going to be, to make sure that our education database is safeguarded, our resources are safeguarded, nobody can tamper it with it, no individual can come back to change people, schools and whatnot. And the other thing, the human factor, parents are also part of the problem, because for some, they have their own peculiar reason why they don't want their wards to go to one school or the other, and so they want to maneuver and go through those systems and get what they prefer as a great school, or what they think is great for their ward, and not what their wards have gotten. Even though they are outliers that where there are children who don't get the school at all. That's different. And the education system has a system where we place those individuals who didn't get schools. But like I mentioned, the database is secured. Everybody should get school with your results that you have after the BEC exams. You get it. So you should be able to get a school. But the problem I'm talking about is those who have gotten a school and they want to change the school that they have gotten for personal preferences and whatnot. So when that happens, this is what is going to be the challenge, because you won't be able to assess or make a change, never, if it is on a public blockchain. Like the education ministry mentioned that they give some quota to maybe chiefs, priests, clergy members, and whatnot, and their quota. So if you are going to operate a quota system like that, then you will need to perhaps use a private blockchain where access to the data is given to some certified individuals or institutions. Now, with that, when data is also tempered, all the institutions who are certified to have access to the data will know that the data has been tempered, and you even tell where it has been tempered from. And if what the change that has occurred, if we all don't agree, all the institutions don't agree with it, it will not sync into the actual database. You get it? So there will be that when you are using blockchain for any activity in public policy, in whatever, there will be more transparency. So one institution, let's even in the case of the private blockchain, one institution cannot connive and do something secretly on the blockchain without informing the other institution. And if it is a public blockchain too, then you cannot do it even at all. You understand? When you are operating a public blockchain, there is more trust. However, if you are operating a private blockchain, the trust level is a bit low among the populace, because it's only limited institutions that have access, unlike the public blockchain where everybody has access. However, within a private blockchain, all the institutions that have access are able to operate on a transparent level, and one institution cannot connive and leave the other institution in the dark, because they all have access to the same database. And so I will leave individuals to access our article, okay, so where we propose 7 ways the blockchain can be used to minimize or maximize minimize fraud and maximize school placement data, so that we won't have some of these things happening within our education system. Because the frustration and whatnot, we can look at blockchain solutions so that we can take away the human factor, take away a lot of things from the system, that we can break a lot of cabals and middlemen if we all embrace blockchain solutions in Ghana. Thank you very much for listening. Let me know what you think in our comment section, your feedback and your questions, and we'll be glad to engage. You can also suggest what other thing that you think we should look at in terms of blockchain solutions at the next episode for our AIDBLOCK standard, and we are happy to engage with you for partnership and everything. So our doors are open. You can reach out to us at info@aidblock.org, and we'll respond accordingly to you. So thank you very much. This is AIDBLOCK standard.